All right, and we're back with ckscast episode number 4, or I Feel Like Shitcast. It's middle of winter, anyway, I got to take more vitamins and healthy stuff, I think. So, but today I've got a bit of a topic for you. So, one of the side effects of doing stand-up comedy is I happen to know a lot of ladies that do pole dancing. We've got like Amber in Basel. She also organizes the Comic Strip Show, which is like a burlesque comedy night. You got Yana the Gypsy. You've got Noemi that we interviewed back in the day on the XYZ podcast. We've got a couple more, Trish and Lizzie, that I just met recently. And actually through one of these, I got the inspiration for this topic. We've got to talk a little bit about OnlyFans today, guys. And, because OnlyFans is one of these things, it's there. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't argue with it. It's out there. It's popular. Once upon a time, I even actually dated a lady that was an ex-OnlyFans model. She'd actually moved to a website called Fansly. And, and so I've got a lot of opinions on this thing. And, as an old white man, my opinions matter, guys. So I'm calling you guys, like all 3 people listening to this. Actually, we've been getting a little bit of viewing figures, but I guess most people drop off after about 3 minutes. Stay with it. There's more in this. This will make your day richer. My voice in your head will bring you to a new state of calm and relaxation in the middle of winter that we have here in Switzerland between Christmas and New Year. So, but, before I get into it, let's just start with this. So, one of these pole dancing ladies posted this video on Instagram, which I thought was pretty funny. And I thought it was an interesting perspective on OnlyFans. Let's switch on over. Here we go. So, here we go. Is this going to work? Yeah, cool.
Because OnlyFans is like what people have to do, and then there's this judgment like, she does OnlyFans, she's a fucking whore. She's selling her body. She's a fucking whore. She's selling her body. Well, what do, Chad? What do you wear, a mill or a rig or something? Nothing wrong with that. Honorable work. Don't act like you're not selling your body too. You're doing the same fucking thing. You're throwing your life down a drain for, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week for billionaires that don't give a fuck about you? So you can alienate your family, throw your dreams away so when you're 70, you can stare in the mirror at your desiccated corpse and your dim black eyes just to think about what you could have been. She gets up at noon, diddles herself on camera a couple times a week, makes more money than you, has more free time, and is happier. You're both getting fucked, but at least she's doing it to herself. So who's the whore now, Chad? Who's the fucking whore now?
Okay. So that's a guy called Simon King. He's a comedian. I haven't seen him before. But that was a pretty great way to close the show. And a nice angle on the whole OnlyFans thing. And that one gets me in the feels because, I've worked all my life in software. And I've been selling my brain more than my body. I mean, this body is, not very sellable. But it is a good point. I think there is one thing I would take small issue with is he pitches the job of an OnlyFans model to be just like waking up at 12 and diddling herself a couple of times, and that's it. Now, there's a thing here. I've got a 20-year-old daughter. Actually, once upon a time, she came to me. She says, "Did you know, Dad, that you can actually make loads of money selling pictures of feet on OnlyFans?" And I'm like, okay, this is one of these moments where I need to intercept as a dad. Now, the way I approach this kind of stuff is I'll be like, if I ban something, she's going to do it. That's how kids work. If you say, you're not allowed to get on OnlyFans, she's going straight on OnlyFans just to annoy her dad. But, I just said, well, look, that may be true, but what you've got to understand is, first of all, something that I don't think anybody says enough about work is if you do something for many hours a day, for many days a week, you do the thing, but it over time becomes you. So, like, for example, back in the day when I was programming a lot, and I'm just like in code the whole time, I'd be like 4 hours, 8 hours. I've just got like this stack of code in my head. And it was making me unable to interact with people in a certain way. Could argue that it was making me kind of autistic, because you're just like you're not dealing with people, you're dealing with logic and code and this kind of stuff, and you have to hold it all together, so you build this model of it in your head. And I think the thing with OnlyFans, and this is something that I can back up actually a little bit, because as I was saying, back in the day, we had we used to do this XYZ podcast, and we had this lady on, Noemi, who's fantastic. She's really a super cool person. Let's just bring that back where you can see it. Oh no, I gotta get my shit together here. There you go. So episode 71 of the XYZ podcast, and there's this lady, Noemi Monoki, as she calls herself. She is a tough lady, very funny, very cool person. She also did an episode about I think it was episode 15, where she talked about getting suspended from the skin, by the skin of her back, from a tree, which was also a wild ride. But she's working on OnlyFans and making videos, pictures, and that kind of stuff, and was explaining how the thing works. And you can listen to this episode that explains it. The point is that ultimately it's work. So if you're an OnlyFans model, you got to produce the content. So you got to get someone you probably want to get someone who's a photographer or a videographer, who can make the video or the pictures well. And then you got to, OnlyFans you don't just upload to OnlyFans and magically you have an audience. OnlyFans is just a platform. You have to do the marketing yourself. Now, a lot of ladies do that via Instagram, and they kind of feed followers in through there. And so you've got to do the marketing. So you've got to have a bit of a clue of digital marketing. I guess TikTok is now also a thing there. It's like, how do you get people to your OnlyFans page and being ready to pay for anything there? Then another aspect of that is that OnlyFans has this chat system. So, it's basically, you got to engage with these guys. You got to be flirtatious with them. You got to do the things that are going to upsell them to buy some of your content, or pay you some kind of tip or something like this. So there's a ton of work just there. I think the OnlyFans model is certainly better than porn and what happened before, where it's just some middleman making the money. But still, it's you've got all of that work. Of course, OnlyFans has taken their cut. But back to the point before, is that when you do something and you're having to put all this thought and energy in, and you're getting these messages from thirsty dudes at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday night, if you respond quickly, that could lead to cash that you're earning. But also learning the way you should respond, so that this guy feels, like he's really engaging with you. And yeah, the big OnlyFans models, they have like AI systems that manage this. But, I think actually OnlyFans has a long tail, because basically the what's made OnlyFans a success. There's another video I could find about whatever. I'll link to it at the end. On a YouTube channel called Freakonomics, explaining why OnlyFans works. And it's basically, the idea is that basically people produce custom porn. So if you're a horny young teenage boy, you can request the porn that you're looking for, and you feel that somehow you played a role in this. Now, but the thing is that when you start to do this as an OnlyFans model, you may just think it's like, starts off, I can just do one photo shoot a month, put that stuff out, and that's going to be great. But over time, if you start to build momentum, you're going to be putting more and more work in. You're going to get better and better at manipulating these guys. You're going to be thinking a lot about, okay, what kind of shot works. You put all this effort and energy into producing basically, like a form of porn, like it's sex work, as they say, is a nice way to say it. So all of this energy in your brain, you're building all these neural pathways as you do this. You become a person that's good at that. Now, I know this from comedy is one of the downsides of doing comedy is the more you do it, the less you have patience for normal people and normal conversations. I love spending time with comedians because we're present, we're in the moment. Everybody's trying to steal the next punchline when if we meet up at a party or something. It doesn't happen often enough, sadly, but comedians, for other comedians, are fantastic people to be around. Normies are kind of boring. And I can imagine you get the same symptom with OnlyFans. It's like after you've spent some years as a successful OnlyFans content producer, your relationship to or your relationship to relationships gets warped by this. There's another lady I know. She was telling me about a friend of hers. So she's a photographic model, and she has a friend who's an OnlyFans model. And she said they were at a cafe together, and her friend had forgotten her card and couldn't pay. And eventually, she had to pay for her. But the waiter she immediately went to pitching to the waiter like, well, why don't I'll give you a coupon. You can, if you let me off this, you can follow me on OnlyFans. I'll give you a coupon. I mean, that's kind of a little fucked up that you're pimping yourself to a waiter at a cafe. That means you're always got this shit in your head. You're just kind of in that zone, and all men basically are exploitable things for you to extract money from. I'm not sure over time that's a healthy thing, a healthy space to be in. But anyway, that's kind of my take on it. There's a lot of positive stuff about OnlyFans. Certainly it's an improvement to porn. Like on one level, human sexual desire is there. That's not going away. Maybe it's a good way for young men to learn to interact with women in a controlled manner, where they learn how to express their sexual desire in a way that's, where she has very good control and can give feedback on what's okay and what's not okay. Maybe, and it's certainly filling this loneliness gap that we have in the world today. But so those could be some positive things about it. I guess the other aspect there is, I don't know. I find it kind of sad that as a human species, we're just so invested in sex. It's like it consumes 90% of human output. And when I think back, I was saying on another episode, all the time we're putting into watching Netflix, like 93 trillion hours in the first half of 2023. I mean, how much of that went into porn? Okay, and it's kind of tragic that as a species we're that obsessed with sex, which ultimately is just supposed to be a reproductive thing. But it's kind of in absence of a better idea of how to amuse ourselves. That's what we're going to. But it is what it is, and I think OnlyFans, and those sort of websites are here to stay. And it's a model that, it's a monetization of human interaction, which to me seems sad, but also inevitable. And there was a very good Vice documentary years ago about in Japan some of the things that they do there. Like they have these hotels that you go to where it's not about sex. You have like a girlfriend that you hire who will just do things like clean your ears and listen to you tell a story or whatever it is, or tell you a story, and that's purely what it's about, because there's an absence of this kind of intimacy in life over there for young men. So anyway, but of course I've got my own take on OnlyFans, which I'm going to show you right now. This is actually an audio recording from a comedy show. Sadly, I don't have the video. At some point I'll do a video version of this and stick it online. But here we go. This is my contribution to the OnlyFans discussion. Oh, Jesus Christ. There we go.
Like, what are we going to do when OnlyFans models get old and wrinkly? Now, what are we going to do? Like, society's going to have to look after them somehow. We're going to need a website like OnlyGrans. And you get on OnlyGrans and she's like, all right, guys, I got my new false teeth in today, and well, I can't stand up because I did my back in. But what do you think of these? This guy just lost his shit. He had a flashback to his own grandmother. I get it, dude. We had to put my grandmother in a home, and that shit cost $5,000 a month. It's insane. Like if only there'd been a webcam in the corner. I could have been like, come on, Gran, we've all got to do our part here. Do you remember, like, in the war? You know?
Yeah, anyway, so there you go. So, yeah, that's just my way of being a dick about the whole thing, is to take it to somewhere a logical consequence. I mean, that's, I guess, another factor for OnlyFans models. Maybe there's always going to be a market for them, but I think, age and beauty and this kind of stuff, it's like at a certain point, maybe you get a little too old to be an OnlyFans model. And then what are we going to do for you, ladies? I really don't know. But I will say, like the one thing, like kind of being on the receiving end, this time I was dating this ex-OnlyFans, now Fansly model. I mean, all credit to her. She was very transparent and open about what she did. And, it's like, take it or leave it, dude. But I do remember one time, like, she sent me some kind of saucy pictures, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. It was kind of like a little bit romantic-ish, a little bit sexy, and I'm like, okay, that's cute. And it was part of a conversation we were having. And then immediately she put that stuff on Fansly. And that actually, yeah, like that I had a real problem with, because basically it's like, what are my options? My options are either, like I don't know, basically say, hey, what the hell, man? I thought this was a picture between us just for me. Or it's like, and start an argument, which is actually what I did and kind of led to a breakup, but whatever. Or I just accept it and say, okay, that's cool. But to me, the problem with that, and it was part of a bigger picture, is that was taking me on a path to basically being a cuckold. And I'm really not into that. I'm not into being that dude who's watching his lady getting railed by some other dude. It's like, yeah, how is that something? I don't know. If that's your thing, respect to that. To me, it's just like that's one place that I just don't want to go to. And I've done a lot of things, guys, a lot of things. And, but anyway, so, yeah, I don't know. I guess that must be a thing. How do you be cool if your girlfriend is an OnlyFans model? I'm not sure quite how to do it. Like maybe some guys are that checked out. I don't know. But, or, maybe they are that cool. They're just like, hey, dude, you just grow up, man. Like live with it. That's what she does to make money, and you separate that. But I mean, on the other hand, and if it's just purely video, but it seems like it is a path that leads to, because a lot of the ladies do like threesomes and this kind of stuff. Because there's an interesting fact, a little thing is that I think for women it's much harder for them to switch their brain off during sex to be actually able to enjoy it. One of the things that can help with that is that if you have at least 4 points of physical contact on the body, it actually overloads the brain to the point where you, like if you're getting stimulated from at least 4 points in some form, that kind of overloads the brain so that you kind of switch off and then you can enjoy, which I think there's a connection there to, like ladies that fantasize about threesomes with two dudes or with another woman and their boyfriend or whatever, because it's just to create this kind of overload so that they can actually switch off and enjoy. Yeah, so these are my insights on on sex and OnlyFans. I think is there anything else to add here? I don't know. I mean, I guess ultimately the other thing that kind of annoys me a little bit about OnlyFans is that for me as a guy, I'm like, I mean, nobody wants to see this. Like, I can't make money off of this, or, well, maybe I probably could if I do some kind of gay OnlyFans thing, but I'm not into that. I go like I'm a bear, but I mean, the thing is like, so it annoys me as a guy. Like, there's people don't really want to watch guys. Unless you have like, well, okay, I guess if you have the body and the six pack, but on the other hand, I was just thinking like, so it's so unfair to men. But actually, that's not true at all, because if you look at the amount of dudes gaming and making money off that, like I love this game called Rust, which is a first-person survival shooter. I don't play it very often because it just leads me down a rabbit hole. Plus, I completely suck at Rust, and then I end up getting owned by some 13-year-old Russian dude. It's a massively toxic game, actually. But there's some YouTubers and Twitch streamers that have made huge followings of Rust, and they just play the game and they have like a chilled out voice, or they're funny or something. And they're making crazy money off of this, off playing a computer game. Of course, again, it takes skill and time and effort, and you've got all that editing you got to do afterwards and this kind of stuff. But yeah, so actually, it's OnlyFans is to women what gaming is to men, I think, in this internet age. And it leads to a world where nobody's really doing anything. But maybe that's okay, because, as we saw, as I said in a previous episode, during lockdown, we don't need people doing things mostly. We just need our essential workers who we should pay more money. Pay more money to the blue collars, that's what I say. Yeah. So that they then don't want to work as hard, because they're like, oh, I'm making good money now. I can quit my job. And then we have meltdown. We give it up to robots and ChatGPT and whatever else. All right, that's my thoughts for today. Episode 4 is done.